My husband is a saint. He sold his family home to pay for my surgeries. He hasn't missed a single doctor's appointment in 3 years. But last night, I found her. The woman he's been seeing for months. I have less than a year left to live. And I just realized I'm not the only woman my husband is losing. Mark and I met in our senior year of college. He was the guy who stayed up all night helping me study. And for the last 10 years, he's been the man who stayed up all night holding my hand through the pain. Chronic illness is expensive, not just for the bank account, but for the soul. He never complained, not once. Even when he sold his late parents' cottage in 2022 just to afford my latest round of treatments. I remember that day. He whispered to me, "Don't worry about the money, Sarah. The house is just wood and stone. You're my life. We'll get through this." I always expected him to leave. Wouldn't you? Most men run when things get difficult, when their wife becomes more patient than partner. I started watching him for signs of an affair. Not because I was jealous, but because I felt guilty. I wanted him to have someone who wasn't broken. But he was perfect. He always left his phone face up on the table. He was home by 6 p.m. every night. Except for those 2 hours every Tuesday, his gym time. A week before Christmas, I found a receipt for a charm bracelet in his coat pocket. He hadn't given me a bracelet. I followed him, not to a hotel, but to a quiet little park. I watched from the car. He sat on a bench and a woman sat next to him. She wasn't 20 years younger. She looked kind. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and Mark just closed his eyes and let out a breath I hadn't heard him take in years. It wasn't a breath of passion. It was a breath of relief. I wanted to scream. I wanted to be the wronged wife. But then I remembered the hospital bills. I remembered the nights he cried in the bathroom so I wouldn't hear him. She isn't a mistress to him. She's his life support. She's the person who's going to hold him together when I finally let go. He's loved me through the impossible. He's already paid for his so-called sin in advance with every sacrifice he's made for me. But it still hurts. I wish he could have just waited. Just a few more months until I was gone. I'm not going to tell him I know. I'm going to spend my last Christmas acting like his perfect, oblivious wife. Because in the end, he saved my life. The least I can do is let him save his own. If you were in my shoes, would you confront him? Or would you let him keep his secret so he has a home to go to when you're gone? Let me know in the comments. I need to know if I'm being brave or just a coward. If this story touched you, please subscribe. I share stories like this every week about love, loss, and the impossible choices we make. Thank you for listening.